Hey guys, this is Anastasia, and this is a candle that I was actually asked to make. It is a Mother Mary candle. Um, I wanted to share this because I thought it was important to kind of go into to show if you are requested to make something or you feel called to make something for someone, perhaps as a gift or a special craft that you feel will benefit them or that they need. I know I've done crafts similar to this when people are going through a particularly hard time and they may not be pagan, but I still want to create something for them that might help. I'll either find something that's very general, like I'll create, a positivity incense, or a prosperity is pretty basic actually. It's pretty general. Most people don't get weirded out with that, or at least people I've noticed. Or a love and light candle, because that just it's so open to energy and it can fit into any faith. It's not inherently witchy, I guess. But there are crafts like this where, no, I'm actually working with an energy or a god or a goddess or some form of religious figure that I really don't work with, that I really don't necessarily connect with. And I know in the pagan community there are Christian witches, and there are even those that aren't Christian witches but still very much connect to Mother Mary as a goddess. And so I didn't feel it was too far outside the realm of understanding. But for me, when I craft something for someone, I approach it from, okay, I need to understand how they work with this energy and see how I can somehow connect to that as well. Because if I'm going to craft something, I need to connect. I need to understand. It needs to make sense in some way, shape, or form. So what I did for this, because the woman I made it for is Catholic, I researched not only working with Mother Mary as a goddess, kind of from my standpoint, how I could work with her, but also I looked at how the Catholic community kind of works with her and views her. And I think I'll do another video kind of getting more into that. This, I really want to focus on just the craft. But I was able to find, actually, through connecting through documentaries on the Mother Mary and who she may have been in real life versus the mythos, for lack of a better phrase, or versus what is written in the Bible about her and the legend of sorts. I hate using those terms because it sounds fictional and it almost feels like I'm downgrading someone's religious beliefs, and I don't mean to, so please don't take it that way. I'm just, for lack of words, and I'm certainly not an expert. So yeah, I was really able to connect with her through looking at her from those ways, not necessarily as this mother of God in the flesh, which, I'm sorry, the camera's wonky. There's a fly in here, so I keep swatting it, and of course it jiggles my hand. Which, from the Christian point of view, she was that. She was mother to Jesus, who was God in the flesh. But that is kind of her claim to fame. I mean, that's all that's ever really talked about, I feel like. Even when I was a practicing Christian, that was kind of it. And I'm starting to get off on that tangent again, so I'm going to pull back. I do want to do a video more delving into working with her as a goddess and how to approach that. But that will come later. But yeah, I think I found connecting with her as, okay, what was she perhaps more like in real life? How was it as a mom? Because everything I'd ever read about her or known about her was she kind of just was so supportive and loving and just followed her son and was his backbone. And while I think that was true, I do think she perhaps saw the writing on the wall. Um, I think when working with her, it's not just about be a good mom and be supportive. It's about really, and not even about submission. I've seen so many opinions where Mother Mary is about submitting to God's will. And I don't think that was it for her. I think, if anything, she looked at it and said, I'm choosing to follow this. Perhaps because it's God's will, and her faith was that strong. I'm not denying that. But I don't look at it as a submission. I don't like that word in terms of this, because it was most definitely a choice she had. And I think that's what she teaches us, is sometimes you make these choices that will bring you down a certain path. And once you make this choice, that the stonework's kind of laid for you. You kind of have to go through and follow that and honor that choice and be respectful of that. And yes, perhaps try to veer when you need to, and perhaps change course when it's appropriate. But if and when you hit that wall and go, I can't turn around, I can't change, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't fix this. There's some things I think in our lives that we can't fix. And I think she is an amazing energy for when you are in those places to somehow find peace with that, or somehow find, okay, I can't fix this, but I can do this. I can be supportive in this. I can make the best of this situation somehow. It's never going to be ideally what I want, but I can do the best damn job I can do at this point. I think especially towards the later years, with Jesus's ministry and work, I think she saw the writing on the wall. I think she knew shit was about to get real, for lack of a better phrase. And she stood by him and she pushed through with him. And I'm sure she tried to warn him and tried to bring him down a peg or two, just to, hey, you need to play nice. You're not making friends here. And when he wouldn't listen to that because he was so strong in his convictions, she, put on her big girl pants and said, okay, I'm your mom. I'm with you. I got this. And that, in a nutshell, is really the energy that I got when working with her. It's that, yes, there is compassion. Yes, there is love. Yes, there is warmth and comfort. But there's also this diligence, and there is this drive, and there is this, no, sometimes we make decisions and we need to follow them through. They might lead us down a path we're not 100% happy with, but we have to carry on and find out where it leads, because that's life. That's our experience. We have to go through this. And 9 times out of 10, when we come out the other end, we're stronger, we're wiser, we are better equipped to deal with the next path that we have to choose. So now more focused on the actual candle. I did buy a store-bought ivory pillar. A lot of color correspondences said white for her, but I found white to be so stark. And that's actually one thing I read about her while working with her as a goddess, is a lot of females especially struggle to connect with her because she is just the symbol of absolute and utter purity and innocence. And the reality of the situation is none of us are that. We're just not. And I don't know that any of us really want to aspire to be. And that can be a little jarring when we look at just that absolute purity and go, well, I'll never get there, so I'm damned, so fuck it, excuse my language. But that's kind of the feeling that at least I get when I'm like, well, I'll never get there, so why bother trying? And I don't think she wants to put you in that position. I don't think her energy is such to try to compare. I feel she's a much more warm energy, a much more comforting energy, a very, let me hold you and comfort you. And then once you've gotten over this sob story and this heartache and this pain, I'll help you carry through this, because that's the next step. It's not quite crone energy, because crone energy is very, sweetie, I know you're crying, but you need to dry your tears and put your big girl pants on and let's get going, because that's the deal. She lets you kind of calm down and get your wits back to you, and then helps you along the way. And I think that's the major difference between mother energy and crone energy. And I think ivory is a much more soft color. It's a much more gentle color. And not only does that make her a bit more accessible, but it also is more true to her actual energy that I've experienced, at least. Then I engraved the Hail Mary prayer on there. You can't really see it because I didn't dust it with anything. I just consecrate it with, I actually went to a Christian store or a Catholic store and got anointing and blessing oil that is lily of the valley, because that's one of her sacred flowers, and consecrated it with that, and then rolled it in herbs or flowers that are marigold, lavender, lily, violet, jasmine, rose, mullein, I always mispronounce that, St. John's wort. I was going to use mustard seed, but I didn't have any, so I used yarrow, and then mandrake root, fennel, marjoram, and willow. And then I bound that incense blend, or herbal blend really, because I'm not making an incense with this, with that same lily of the valley oil that I consecrated with, as well as rose oil and violet oil. Those three are very sacred flowers for her. And all of those flowers and herbs and such either were traditional correspondences I found for Mother Mary, or they were ones that when I looked at their magical meaning, I went, yes, that corresponds, let's roll with it. So then I started on the construction. So I rolled it in the herbs, and then I took sealing wax and sealed rose petals all along the bottom. And I used 4 petals in each kind of cluster. The reason for that was to tie in, at first I was going to do 3 for the Holy Trinity and also Maiden Mother Crone, because I think, again, I do need to connect with this in a way to make it a bit more of a magical candle. If I'm making it, it's going to have some air of magic to it, whether it's used or not. But when I started making it, I thought it was perhaps more important to tie in the elements. So we've got earth, air, fire, and water represented with 4 petals each around the bottom. At the Catholic store, I also got a coin for Mother Mary and attached that with sealing wax. And then up here, I used for the dripping oil the light blue. That is blue satin, is a traditional garment that stories will say she wore. I'm not entirely sure that's real life, but it goes with tradition, and I certainly want to uphold that as well. And then green, because the woman that I'm making this for, her birthday is in August, so this is a birthstone rosary, which I bought at the Catholic store as well. I was going to make one, and then I realized it was more financially savvy to just buy one. And so I used green there as well. And blue, I find, connects to spirituality. Green, I find, for fertility and growth. And I certainly want her connection to grow and to find fertile ground. And then, as is usual, I did my little ring around the top. So that in a nutshell is my Mother Mary candle. Like I said, I'm going to probably do another video just talking about how I connected with her as a goddess, because I did find it warrants that. As for now though, blessed be.